Enter Monkey D. Luffy, the rubber guy who can fight someone made out of sand and make it work. The rubber guy who can fight a mobster and make it work. The rubber guy that can fight 3 different people that can turn into light, ice, and magma and make it work by just using rubber. Or so we thought. Is our rubber man that makes him so special in a world with all of these crazy abilities, turning into fire, turning into dragon, turning into ice, turning into a reindeer. How does he make it work and be so strong with just having a rubber fruit? Well, that's the neat part. He doesn't. So, of course, I'm talking about Luffy Gear 5, and of course, the episode is coming out soon. It is very hype, but everything poses a question. I know it sounds really hype, but did that ruin Luffy's character? Now, I really am torn on this. You can look at it from a sick angle. Hype, entertainment, strength, story building, absolutely dope. You look at it from another angle. Character analysis, lore, mental gymnastics, not so dope. But, of course, you can't just be overly critical with these things. It really does matter. And what do you look for in a story? Do you look for entertainment, or do you look for like a deep narrative with everything lining up correctly? Now, I'm going to be getting into it in this video, all the reasons why Gear 5 is hype, all the reasons why Gear 5 is not hype, and all the reasons why it's just plain out enjoyable. So, of course, getting into why it is not hype first. It's a huge issue because what compels people to Luffy is the fact that if you look at the big 3, you have Ichigo, who is both a Quincy and a Hollow and Soul Reaper blood in him. Much like Naruto, he has a 9-tailed fox inside of him, and of course he has to learn to tame it and be strong. But of course, at the end of the day, both of them will unlock super strong abilities that they will have to wield on their own, and they earn it. They earn it in their stories. We were never told that they were really nothing. We knew that Naruto was a loser and that he had the 9-tailed fox inside of him, but it seemed like he had no shot of ever taming it. But Luffy, we were told from the start that yes, we see him defeat the sea monster, and we see him defeat Alvina and Buggy and all of these characters, but we knew exactly what his strength was. But the fact that he would make it work when we see all these super insane abilities with his rubber kind of made it seem more so it was based off his hard work and his creativity with the fruit. But when you add the fact that when he awakens, he can essentially do whatever he wants, and that the Gear 5 true ability is only limited by his creativity, does the fact that he really had the Nika fruit ruin his whole premise? Because now he does feel like a chosen one. He does feel different from the start, and of course he's always been special, but to literally take away his fruit is a whole different story from Luffy having like chosen one characteristics with his father and his lineage. His fruit was what really made him special because of the creativity he had to use in order to have success with the fruit. But when you take that away and say that it was because of the fact that he had a mythical zone the whole time, does that take away from all of his previous feats? Now, I know that some people try and say that the fruit was never that and it only turned into that when it awakened. That is really a theory in my opinion. The evidence that they present is decent because of how 1044 was worded and how some of the stuff was worded in those chapters, but I do not think you can just straight up say that it wasn't that the whole time. I think there's a lot of things you can assume because Gear 2 still doesn't make sense. Gear 3 kind of makes sense, not really, and then Gear 4 makes sense if Gear 3 makes sense because it's just hockey, right? At the end of the day, some of those gear explanations are vague because you know why? There is no clear explanation on the gears. So therefore, you can kind of make the assumption that he had the Nika fruit the whole time. Now, does that ruin all of his feats for you because Luffy is the chosen one and he doesn't have any super crappy fruit that he is the one that makes it special? Because if you gave the rubber fruit to Zoro, he would not be as strong as Luffy because he doesn't have the creativity of Luffy. Now, another reason it kind of sucks is the fact that the fights are gonna be a little bit different because you can now see that the fights, especially with Lucci, are going to be a lot more crazy, huge actions instead of like the tactical stuff that you saw with Luffy versus Crocodile in terms of him trying to make it work. Due to the fact that it's limited to his brain, can you really say that he's going to have any super competitive tactical fight? It's common in shonen that as it goes on, the fights get bigger and bigger instead of more tactical. Is that an issue for you? It might be, it might not be. It's looking like it's only going to get crazier, especially with the Joy Boy connections and Zunisha literally calling him Joy Boy. That further instills the Luffy is the chosen one mentality. And the other main thing is what it does to the lore. Do you really think the Who's Who dialogue, there's much discussion on whether Shanks knew what fruit he was stealing or not. I truly believe he did based on what Who's Who said. Why would Shanks just randomly target devil fruits? I don't know if there's some huge lore between Shanks just targeting devil fruits at that time, because if there is, then you can write in, oh, he was just targeting fruits. But I truly truly believe if he was targeting fruits, because everything we know about Shanks is why would he target devil fruits? He was looking for that fruit. So then of course he just leaves it on the table. Like what? And then the stuff with the Gorosei I think is just straight up nonsense. The fact that they didn't know that he had the fruit, when you see him on all the bounty posters, he literally pulled up to Marineford. How do they not know he has the fruit? It makes no sense. I think the Gorosei not knowing that Luffy had the Nika fruit is just complete and utter nonsense. They knew exactly what fruit he had. He was making all these headlines with the Gumu Gumu no Mi. Beyond crazy. Come on. Now, why is it good? Because it's absolutely hype, of course. Some of the scenes in the Kaido fight are absolutely crazy. The fact that when he turns and stomps, when he throws lightning, and then of course his character design is sick. The all white, he literally looks like the god. The fact that it's limited to his creativity perfectly fits Luffy's personality. Maybe it doesn't fit some of the past character stuff, but it perfectly fits his personality 100%. I think some of the stuff we're gonna see Luffy do with that is crazy. And also the fact that I want to see Luffy just goof around with it. He doesn't have to straight fight with it. I want to see him goof around with it too, with the Straw Hats, pull pranks, do nonsense. I think there's some really cool moments there. Another thing that makes it good is the fact that it's clearly draining Luffy's life energy, so you kind of have this feeling maybe Luffy really will die and Law will have to revive him. There's that whole narrative, especially knowing that he lost years of his life in, whether you consider it Impel Down or Marineford, whatever. Yeah, he losing years of his life. And obviously the past of the fruit, even though the fruit is messing up the past lore, some of the future lore we're going to be getting about the Void Sentry and stuff like that could be extremely sick. So like I was saying, what conclusion should you make and what really matters to you in the story is what's extremely significant, because all of this stuff is hype. It is entertaining. It is not deep, and it will definitely affect the past lore of the past 1,000 episodes, but will that ruin your experience? That's really up for you to decide. Personally, I think it's like a 6 to 7 out of 10, because Luffy really standing out from all the characters is because of his crappy fruit. So many shonen characters have super sick abilities. Naruto with the Nine Tails, Ichigo with his Bankai. It's just sick. They all have sick abilities, and Luffy was just made out of rubber, and it fit his character so well because he able to excel from that. So that has to be a hit for me. But the fights being bigger and better, honestly, I do like that, because even when the fights were more tactical, I wasn't crazy about One Piece fights before, but now there's so much hype there, and the biggest reason is just all the lore that's going to come from it, and the fact that I hope Luffy does die, because that will add some extreme stakes to the series, and just those implications will cause other characters to have to take action, like Law, and also the fact that how this pairs up against Blackbeard, who so much represents darkness, and Luffy, who so much represents light. There's so great symbolism there. So in all, the 7 out of 10 is what it is for me. Let me know how you feel about Gear 5 down below. Is it good? Is it bad? Of course, it has to be hype though. So check out some of my other videos. If you like this analysis, drop a like down below, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe. With all that being said, don't forget, we're just getting started, we're gonna stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next video.